let's start with this. As you know, I spend a ton of time, most of my practice is really looking after patients that have lost a lot of weight. These patients have made an incredible commitment already, sometimes for months, most of the time for years. And so for us to do surgery is really, it's a special kind of surgery because first of all, we're helping in that whole journey that the patient themselves has started, but also because it's a big commitment to surgery. But obviously, patients that have already gone through all of this, um, have that ability to commit, which is really special and unique compared to patients that just decide one day that they want, their nose changed or something like that. So, anyways, having said that, let's start with a question that's not such a long term thing, but something that probably everybody is wondering about. And for sure, every patient asks me when I tell them that they have to lose a bit of weight. How do you lose weight easily? Maybe give like a few tips.
Yeah, so I guess top three tips for weight loss, and I guess you got to take it with a pinch of salt because it depends on where you're at in your journey. If you've gone all the way, if you're halfway, if you're just beginning. But I'm going to take this from an approach of like just beginning because I work with a lot of clients that are like they want to lose 50, 100 pounds. And the first step I would say is you need to set SMART goals, and it's an acronym. I think it's an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time specific goals. So you want to set SMART goals. And I actually have a whole YouTube video on this exact topic, but basically you need to set realistic goals. You can't just go from 100 pounds to, you can't lose 100 pounds overnight. It's just not going to happen. The second thing I would say is something balanced with nutrition. Now, it's very broad and generic advice, but extremes don't work. Most people that I work with, they've tried everything under the sun, keto, fasting, and none of that's really going to work because it's not going to work long term sustainably. And then on that note, I also would highly not recommend like things like Ozempic because it's not really designed for you to have long term success. It's made for you to like kind of depend on it for a long time. And then three, just like move more, and that could literally be any type of activity. If you like a sport, that's probably the easiest way because it's not like you hate it. Or like you could just park further away and just walk more, or just do more chores. Like literally, even if you do the laundry, I know you probably hate doing the laundry or dishes. By moving more, you're just burning more calories, which is just the energy.
Right. Okay. I mean, that all sounds pretty logical. It sounds like, the first thing, even before the three tips, is, to take it seriously and realize that you need a plan, right? And then with the plan, you can start to implement these tips, which as you describe them, are things that just about, anybody can do and probably would have some success. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about nutrition specifically. Okay, a million diets out there and things like that. So tell me, your approach on diets and maybe some of the misconceptions about diets and weight loss.
Well, my diet advice and my perspective coming from someone who's lost 150 pounds, and I can resonate with a lot of people who struggled where they've tried everything under the sun. Um, a diet isn't a diet if you can stick to it for the rest of your life. And so, just a couple of misconceptions a lot of people have is like bread or carbs is the enemy. It's not. A really good thing or way to lose weight and keep it off is you need to build muscle. Your muscles need glycogen. You get that from carbs. So cutting it out completely does not work. And everything you enjoy eating has carbs, right? The second thing would be like fasting is not magic. People think just because they do intermittent fasting, you're going to magically lose weight. It's just a fancy term of saying you're skipping breakfast. Also, not a huge fan of OMAD, which is one meal a day. Supplements, they're not really going to do anything. There's very minimal benefits, and it's not really going to get you to lose 50 pounds overnight. Um, Extremes don't work. Actually eating less is not normally the answer. Eating more, but like high volume, high protein would probably be better than eating less because when you eat less, you're starving. And then the most important thing would be to make this a lifestyle change and a lifestyle approach. It's the key to sustainability, long term, short term, medium term. Because if you go and do all of these extremes and you go and do like keto, for example, if you can't stick to that for a long period of time, you're going to gain the weight back the second you stop, unfortunately, because I've seen this happen way too much.
Can you uh, paint the picture of, obviously it's tailored to individuals, I imagine, because it's a lifestyle change, but can you paint the picture of like what a day of eating would look like that's healthy, that's going to help with weight loss?
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. It really depends on your schedule. That's a big thing, and there's a term that I like called specificity, which I butcher the pronunciation saying half the time, but just basically means specifics, right? Because every body, every person, every plan, every goal is pretty much unique. Yes, two different people could want to lose 100 pounds, but how they're going to accomplish that is going to be kind of vastly different, right? But it goes back to like setting smart, realistic goals. And then once you have an actual realistic game plan, an actual realistic goal, you could then kind of backtrack and realize, okay, this is what I need to do in order to get to X goal. And it's a fancy term that people use called periodization. Some people do it for workouts. You could literally just do it in your life. Right. And if you break down things into micro goals, where let's say you want to lose 10 pounds in 4 weeks, that's a hell of a lot more of achievable than wanting to lose 25 pounds in 30 days or 40 days, not hitting it, getting depressed, getting demotivated, and then like stop doing your weight loss success.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense to me. Um, okay, so we talked about some myths. We talked about nutrition in general. Let's talk a little bit about exercise for weight loss. Can you talk about what a few different effective strategies and obviously people, particularly people that have gained over lifetimes a lot of weight. There's different fitness levels. People that have never done any exercise and people that quote unquote go to the gym every day. So can you talk a little bit about those different people?
Yeah, for sure. So beginners are, well, they're beginners, right? So, whether they've tried to work out before, I find a lot of people that are just straight up beginners. They don't have a clue what they're doing in the gym. And that's okay. I was in your shoes at one point as well. But the easiest way, and I'm going to take this from the perspective of if you're trying to lose 50, 100 pounds, you're not really that strong. The easiest way is to start small and start easy. And I know that's easy to say, but there's a term called progressions and regressions. You shouldn't, if you're a 300-pound individual, do like 7,000 push-ups or a 1,500-pound leg press. It's just not really that logical. In my opinion, you should focus on more strength training and functional training. One thing that's really beneficial to allow for progressions and regressions, like make it harder, make it easier, is something called a suspension trainer, or there's a company that I think started it like 20 years ago called TRX. I'm not like affiliated with them, but it just basically allows you to do things harder, easier, and it uses your own body against you. That's something that I personally used when I weighed 370. And then again, like body weight calisthenics, if you're heavy, it's going to be hard for you to do certain things like a dip. But you could do push-ups. You could start with a wall push-up. You could then go to an incline push-up, then a flat push-up, then a decline push-up. There's level of progressions and regressions. For if you're like intermediate, I do work with a lot of clients that say they've been going to the gym for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, but they haven't gotten any results. And a lot of that comes down to not setting a specific goal or specific time frame, not periodizing, not having proper rep ranges, not knowing what to do with rest, not knowing the proper technique or exercise. There's a lot that goes into this. In terms of like advanced in my opinion would be someone who's worked out for 10 years. They have like 30 pounds of muscle, and they have like a very, very, very specific niche goal that they're trying to like deadlift 4 times their body weight or something like that. Then their nutrition has to be really important as well. And another term that's really important, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or even advanced. If you're advanced, you know this, but there's a term called progressive overload, which is just a fancy way of saying getting a little bit better every single time. And whether you're doing calisthenics, whether you're doing machine based, whether you're doing dumbbells, barbell, doesn't matter. If you're not progressive overloading, you're losing gains on the table, or you're leaving gains on the table. You're not going to really get that much stronger, and you're not going to build that much muscle because your body adapts to the stimulus that you give it. And if you're not beating it consistently week in, week out, which is honestly why I started getting addicted to working out and started loving working out because it was like a game for me, you're going to not get as much, you're not going to succeed as much as you would like.
Yeah, that's really interesting because we do meet so many people at work, but really in our social lives, just our friends and family who are regular gym goers. I mean, they go to the gym like 3, 4 times a week, but they're really just not seeing any gains, whether it's strength gains or weight loss gains. And it probably is because of a lot of the things that you're talking about. Um, Okay, so I have one more comment for you to make, and it's kind of a summary of the things that we've been talking about, which really point to the fact that serious weight loss requires a plan, and not just a plan. It probably requires a professional, whether it's a coach or somebody that you hire, or a friend that's going to keep you motivated. Whatever it is, it there's a lot to it. There's diet, and it's probably going to change a few times, over the time till you find what really works for you. The workouts are going to need to change so that, as you said, you're constantly stimulating and being able to force your body to make those changes. And all of that's really hard for anybody to do. If anybody that can do it, maybe can do for a few weeks on their own, but you probably need somebody that's sort of, helping with that. So obviously I know that's what you do, but maybe just speak a little bit to your experience and success, helping other people to do that have tried to do it on their own.
Yeah, so I'm obviously going to come at this from a biased standpoint, not just because I do it for a living, but I'm the last person to ever hide from the fact that an integral part of my success, I lost over 150 pounds, came from hiring a coach. Because before I did that, I tried every diet under the sun. I tried Weight Watchers. I tried keto. I tried all of this nonsense. I read every book under the sun that I could get. I started listening to people on YouTube that were jacked out of their mind on steroids that I didn't know were on steroids. Not that steroids is a bad idea. That's a story for another day. But I was misled and overwhelmed with all the information on the internet, and just going in circles. And then I hired a coach. And I mean, I have a whole long story, like it's like 20 minutes long. It's on my website if you're interested about my story. But point is, it was an integral part. And obviously, fast forward, I've now had the privilege of helping over 100 people lose 50 pounds. And I would say 90% of which over the last 3 or 4 years, they've kept it off. I can't say 100%. I would lie. But the reason being is because I have the first-hand experience, and it's not just there's a lot of trainers or there's a lot of crappy coaches that are just going to give you some generic meal plan, some generic workout, or my worst is they're just going to press Control C and Control V and send you a Word document they sent to 50 other people. I get it because I've been in their shoes. I understand the struggles, and it's not just like obviously I possess a lot of knowledge, but it's not just a matter of here's your exercise and here's your meal plan. It's a lot to do with your mentality, and most people, pretty much every successful athlete, every successful business people, they have coaches. Now, is it a weight loss coach? Not necessarily, but they have athletic coaches, they have nutritionists. Almost every business person that you could think of on the planet at one point or another hired a business coach or a business mentor, because the easiest way to get ahead in life or the easiest way to fast track is with paying for knowledge and paying for help. And there's nothing wrong with that. People keep saying and convincing yourself, it might be you watching this, that I'm going to start later. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it on my own. Brother, I've been in your shoes. It took me 12 years to finally admit that I needed help. If you were actually going to do it yourself, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in now. So I would say, get off the couch, start moving. And it's not a bad thing to get help. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, I just think it's such a big endeavor. It really is. For most people, it's really changing almost every aspect of their lives. And I think, you might do a little bit of plumbing or fix your deck, in your house, but you're not going to build your house by yourself, right? You're going to get a professional. So I've sort of always felt that way, which is why I always look out for people that can do it. And like you said, there's lots of people that could do it, but you have to go out and find that person that you drive with that makes sense and that's really looking out for your best interests. So thanks for doing that for your clients and keep doing good work. I want to talk about this more if we can.
Definitely, man. So I think that's, I guess, a wrap. We're